Hey, HCDA, and today we're playing some more Oxygen and Not Included, and I hope your day is going as awesome as my day is going, because I'm super excited to play this, which has honestly a lot to do with everything else going really great today, so I'm hoping that my continuation of this playthrough is going to have the same end result. But anyway, last time I did a lot of progress, honestly. I only realized that after reviewing the footage while I was editing. But yeah, I'm really stoked about this beautiful water setup we have over here. I know it's nothing special, but the previous run, all the water just being all around was bugging me, and the fact that we had so much polluted water was also bugging me. And look at this, we only have a tiny little bit now. And there's a tiny little bit down here as well. But all in all, really nicely done, I think. Now, there is one problem that I noticed right after I recorded, and that is the fact that, you know how my base was completely germ-free? Well, it's no longer germ-free. The main issue with that is that the polluted water that I am using in my laboratory over here it's being cleaned into normal water, but the germs actually don't get cleaned out by the water sieve. So what happens is that the overflow that I have over here dumps germs into my main water supply. So we're gonna have to fix that. Now, there's something else that we need to fix, and that is the food situation, because even though I have plenty of food, I'm gonna have to I'm gonna have to grow some more food on top of this, because I'm now up to 8 duplicants, and I might actually want to consider moving that up to 10 pretty soon as well, if and when we need it. But yeah, I want to do something about my food supply. Now, I just don't want to keep continuing planting down mealwood, even though I see very little reason why we couldn't just do that for the time being. But I want to do something a little bit more fancy, because I want to set up, finally now, my rancher thing. I have Lyra waiting for her ranching opportunity for a very long time now. But yeah, I want to focus on that a little bit more. I want to make sure it's fully automated, mostly automated. Let's see how far we can take that. And then after that, well, there's about a dozen things I want to do. Now, what's kind of annoying is that now I've reloaded the game, all the pop-ups, what my new discovered technologies are apparently completely gone. So that's a little bit of a nuance. And now I have been progressing my research very nicely in the background, mostly because you can research a lot faster than you can actually put new stuff down. But I also want to think about a bit more upgrading of my general base. Now, what do we need in order to do that? I actually don't know, so we're just going to have to find out. We'll just take on one project at a time. I have one particular project in mind that I won't spoil just yet, and I think it might not make it into this episode because of what we need in order to set that up. But it's by far the one I'm most excited about. So, I guess that's a very unintentional teaser for the next few episodes, but you'll just have to come and watch them. I mean, there's no way around it. You'll just have to stick watching, subscribe to the channel, do all the things if you want to see that. Yeah, enough plugging there for now. Okay, so where do we get started? Okay, so just something very basic first. We have the oxygen and CO2 mostly under control. I dug out a couple of holes in order to make sure the CO2 can more easily reach my skimmer over here. Now, I think that what might also help if we cut down in this area over here. Maybe extending the thingy a little bit. There we go. Yeah, that should take care of that. Now, once we do that, that allows this carbon dioxide that's pooling up over here to also drop down and make its way over here. And I might just want to... I'm not sure why we have a wall over there. So let's deconstruct some of that. Maybe even put in an additional hole, just to make sure that it can very easily just reach down this corner. That's not the most important thing, though, but it's a nice little start. Now, in terms of digging, I actually think we should dig up this area as well. Yeah. Am I also going to dig in this direction? Maybe not for the moment. I'm not sure how to deal with the radiation we will have over here, by the way. This is uranium. I'm not sure how dangerous the radiation is either. And I kind of don't want to find out the hard way. We'll also need to be careful about this pocket of water, otherwise it's just going to drop in here. We don't really need it over here. I'm not entirely sure how we're going to deal with that just yet. But what I do want to do is free up this little dude over here, and we can do that. Let's see, by doing something like this, and then just building a little bit of a ledge up here, and you'll see why in a minute. Let me cancel this. We don't need a very wide arc. We just need to get up here to reach this dude over here. And while that is being built, I also think it's probably a good idea to upgrade some of my batteries to smart batteries. We have a couple of these jumbo ones over here. But yeah, these are draining my energy quite rapidly. Now, they do contain a lot of energy, so that's the good side. But yeah, I think these things leak 5 times as much energy as these ones. So that's a little bit unfortunate. So let's just deconstruct those. And then we can start turning these into a bit more of a resilient power supply. Now, speaking of power supply, there's a room called the power plants. And that requires a heavy-duty generator, 2 or more power buildings, which I think we should have all of those in here, because these are, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, heavy-duty generators, and they are definitely power buildings. The only reason this isn't actually qualifying as a power plant is because we have this ladder over here. So if I do something like this, just move that over here, and then deconstruct this ladder altogether, and then place a little bit of a tile in here. This should qualify, I think, as a power plant. Let me double check the room requirements. Maximum 120 tiles. It's definitely less than that. So yeah, this should do. Now this is going to improve their power production. What does that mean? I have no idea, because when I look this up in the menu, so let me see, the power... Oh, rooms, where are you? Power plants. It just says improve their power production. That's great, but it doesn't actually tell me by how much. Is that worth it? I don't know, but it's probably more than 0, so I'm assuming it will be beneficial one way or another. Alright, note to self, be careful what you actually delete, because you might delete something you actually need. So, that's going to hopefully take care of my power supply once more, because as you can see, everything is turned off, but that's just because I accidentally deleted that. Let's make sure we make that a high priority. In the meanwhile, what I want to do, now we have access to some more of these things, I want to relocate you to over here, and you to over here as well. And I'm going to put down a door over here to keep you in here. Now, why am I doing that? Because, if I understand correctly, and I might be wrong about this, these guys produce some... I can't see where you can actually tell. But these guys apparently have a little bit of radiation going on. We can tell from one of these things. There we go. Look, they generate radiation. Now, radiation kills germs. We have plenty of germs in this little basin over here. So my thinking is that maybe if we, well, do our job properly, then we can get rid of those germs by removing these guys and put them in here. I don't know. It's kind of a natural cleansing of the water. Now, what I don't know is whether or not that will actually turn this water into irradiated water, and if that's going to be another problem. But we'll have to find that out the hard way, I suppose. Now, it also seems that some of the germs are flowing through here. It's not that much, and they're slowly dying off by the looks of it. I'm a little surprised by the fact that it is happening, though. So I can just put in a few more. I don't necessarily care too much about the germs, but if we can keep them in here, that would be preferable. So, speaking of which, don't I have like other doors maybe available? Yeah. So what we could do, we could upgrade this door to something else. I can't place that. It's a little bit unfortunate that you can't just replace doors like that, or anything else for that matter. You first have to delete it and then have to replace it. But yeah, if I just place an airlock in here, that would keep the polluted oxygen in here, and as well as the germs, I hope. Okie dokie, as you can see, the door seems to be working like intended. Every time someone goes through, there's a little bit of germs coming in, but those are being cleaned out by the deodorizer. So all in all, this seems to be working like intended. Now let's see if we can check the germs over here. Whenever one of those little blobs comes close, it seems to be killing off the germs quite rapidly. I honestly have a feeling this might not be enough to actually keep this water clean. Although you can see that there seem to be less germs in this area, where I have had one of these things floating around for a little bit now, compared to this area. So, I don't know. We'll just have to give them a chance to work their magic and see if this actually works like I want it to. Meanwhile, luckily, for some reason, this ladder still hasn't been built. So, you know, let's higher prioritize that just because we can. Actually, hold on. No, that's not the one I wanted. Cancel. There we go. We could just build the ceiling here. that's how you do that. There we go. Well, I could deconstruct that, but that's not a problem. But this way we can set up a room over here. And that is exactly what I want to do, because this is going to be our little ranching station. So we need some of those over there. And you might be wondering why there are farm tiles in here, but we'll get to that in a second. Because this is what we're doing. I now have a room. Yes, let me double check. Yeah, look, a stable over here, despite there being a lot of farming stuff in here. But even though my critters need the space to move around, they apparently don't mind if there's also plants growing in there. So we might as well double up on the use of this space. That's super efficient. Basically, this is going to produce both mealwood as well as coal, because I'm going to put my hatches in here in a moment. Let me do that before I forget. That's one. And that's two. I think that's all the hatches I currently have, although we have a whole bunch of them growing over here that are about to hatch as well. The hatches are hatching, yes. Anyway, that means that there's going to be a whole bunch of them growing in here. Now, look at this room. It is 96 tiles, which is also the maximum size. I needed to move down these tiles a little bit, but I'm not using this space anyway, because I put in a door and another tile in here to make sure that the hatches are not going to walk around. Now, I still need to make sure that they are actually being fed. Hold on. Did I? Yeah, I set this up. The way that I am going to do that is as follows, because I could just use the feeder. Where is it? The critter feeder. The problem is this only holds 2,000 kilograms, and I've seen my duplicants run back and forth all the time to fill it back up as soon as any one of these guys eats. Now, that feels a little bit inefficient, so what I'm thinking about doing is using an automatic dispenser. This is going to go and do something like that. And we're going to use some automation with that. Now, I was thinking about using a weight plate and just put that over here, so that whenever there's no food on here, it will drop some. However, with so many hatches running around in a very small area, that might lead to, you know, them not actually getting enough food. So, maybe we can use the timer, actually. I'm not sure how this thing works, so I guess we're about to find out. Let's make sure we hook that up. And what I'm thinking is we are going to have at most 8 hatches in here. And each one of these eats what? Let me look them up. Hatch. How much do you guys eat? We're going to feed them dirt, because we want them to mutate into the sage version. And they are going to be eating 140 kilograms per cycle. So, let me get out my calculator. If I multiply that by 8, we need 1,120 kilograms of dirt to be released every cycle. And I'm hoping that that is what this thing will allow us to do. Let's find out if it does. Okay, so how about this? I have an automatic dispenser set up to collect dirt. I've also set it to collect only exactly the amount of dirt that I need, and then I have a timer attached to this that is going to once per day deliver, hopefully, that dirt onto the ground. Now, I'm not entirely sure if this is going to work, because as you can see, there's already dirt on the floor here, and that is because my power has run out for some reason. Not entirely sure why that is. Oh, because it's not actually powered. Okay, anyway. So this is not an entirely foolproof system, but at the same time, if the dirt is just here on the ground, I mean, the worst that can happen is that my hatches will eat it. So, honestly, that might be a reason to just collect all my dirt here. Not entirely sure. But hopefully this will work as intended, and not... because otherwise we'll just get an infinite loop of people trying to deliver dirt here, which is not really what I want. But yeah, all in all, this should work. Now, I'm gonna give this a slightly higher priority, because otherwise we might not have enough food being delivered here. But yeah, I think this should now take care of everything. Double checking, yes, it is still a stable. We are allowed to have a automatic dispenser in here. Now, these guys are going to be laying eggs, and as soon as we have too many eggs, I want them to be exported, and that's where this section is going to come in, because I want to make myself a little bit of a kitchen. And while our duplicants are digging out the kitchen, let me check back on my water, and look at that, most of the germs are gone. I actually checked it a couple of minutes ago and it seemed to be completely gone. So whenever there's new germs being dumped in here by my overflow, yeah, the lamps are apparently pretty effective at cleaning that back out. And the germs that I were collecting over here are now being blocked by the airlock, so that is also working like intended. There's a little bit of slime lung in here. I guess that's coming through the walls or something. Not entirely sure what's up with that. But it doesn't seem to be really making my duplicates sick at all. My duplicants sick. We have some polluted oxygen over here. So I could just add in another scrubber just because I can. I'm not entirely sure if that actually counts as a machine or of any kind. That is a bad thing. No, doesn't look like it. Well, in that case, let's just build it over there. And it also means we need to get some power to that. So it actually works. Okay, so there we go. Now these guys are going to be trained. We are going to get some coal being produced by them as well. And in order to make sure that they keep having enough dirt, I figured, well, we might as well put up some compost heaps as well. Now each of these is going to produce 100 grams per second, so that is 60 kilograms per cycle. And you guys needed how much? I think it was 140. It's a little bit annoying that it doesn't actually say in here. So let me click that. Yeah, 140. So basically I would need a whole bunch of these compost heaps in order for that to actually work. But again, it's a very easy way to slowly transform the polluted earth into something useful again. Honestly, I might want to fill out this entire row. We have this deodorizer here to make sure that... I think this is going to produce polluted oxygen at least. Is it? It doesn't actually say that it will. I'm kind of assuming that it will, but not entirely sure about that. But we can also print something, so let's do that. Do we want another duplicant? I don't think so at the moment, so we might as well just get some muckroot. Are these seeds? No, these are actually the... Yeah, it cannot be replanted. Huh. Seems like a bit of a waste to pick this one then. But at the same time, if we're not picking a duplicant at the moment, then we'll get another pick in a couple of days. So who cares? Okay, so there's X over here. Whoa, there's a whole bunch of them over here. So let's make sure you are all going to get relocated. These are all the ones that I got from an earlier delivery. And that should mean we have 3 of them. We have 2 of them already over here. Did one of them already lay an egg? This one is still wild. It's just coincidence that it already laid an egg. I'm not entirely sure. But anyway, let's build ourselves a kitchen. So let's close this off. And let's double check the kitchen requirements. We need a spice grinder, a cooking station, and a refrigerator, and no dining table. So they're not allowed to eat in the kitchen, apparently. Alright, I was confused there for a moment because I couldn't actually find the cooking station, but apparently the electric grill counts as a cooking station. So, I mean, we have a specific category for stations, and the grill isn't in here as far as I can tell, but yeah, okay. Anyway, yeah, this is in the cooking station category. Okay, so we need one of those. We also need a spice grinder. I have no idea what this does, so let me double check. Crushed seeds and other edibles make an excellent meal enhancing additive. Okay. Well, we'll put one of those in there then. And we also need a refrigerator. No one told me that it needed to be activated though. So, honestly, I'm not entirely sure I see the point of activating the refrigerator because my lubricants seem to be eating it about as fast as they are producing food anyway. And as long as the food is going up, I don't think we need to refrigerate anything. I mean, do we? How much does it actually cost to... It's 120 watts, which is quite a bit of power consumptions, to be fair. I am not entirely sure it is worth it. I could also be very much wrong about that. But let's just build this like so. That's probably just going to confuse me. So let's just not power it for now, and then whenever we feel like we need to start storing up more food, we can do that as soon as, if and when that happens. Oh, whoopsie, I got this the wrong way around. So it should actually be 10 seconds of green and 900 or 590 of red. Because now it was just continuously dumping all the dirt on the floor and it being recycled after that and so on. So that wasn't really working like intended. Now, I also think I should probably double up on this. Should I? I don't know, but they are definitely collecting the dirt off the floor and putting it right back in. So I'm not entirely sure this is working like I had it in mind. Now, what I can do is just put this on a slightly lower priority. I mean, that should work, right? Alternatively, I can just put this at a, like a higher refresh, although that is going to create another amount of work. But yeah, now they completely cleaned up all the dirt that was here on the floor. Oh, no, there's actually still dirt here. Hmm. How much dirt is this? Can I tell? It's probably in the list here somewhere. Oh, it's 9.7 tons. Yeah, I think that should work just fine. I am going to double up on this, because I just want to make sure that they are basically dumping twice as much on the floor as needed. It's also going to take them a little longer to clean it up, and I think my hatch will just run for the food as soon as they get a chance. That's interesting. I'm not entirely done here yet, though, because I want this to be completely automated. So what I need in order to do that is a auto sweeper, my favorite new item in this game, that I can probably build something like... Can I turn this around? Yeah. Do I want to turn it around? I don't know. Let's put it like there. Ooh, we don't have anyone who has a mechatronics engineering skill. Hold on. Remind me, what is that? Is that a building skill? No. Is it a tinkering? Oh, it's this one over here. So actually, some of our dudes are very close to learning that. I could also retrain someone, though I'm not entirely sure who we should then be retraining. Huh. I'll just keep this in mind, because these generalists will get that skill really quickly, because it's literally the next skill point they will earn, and we're just gonna go with that, I think. But in the meanwhile, that means that I need some shipping to be done over here. So I need a conveyor loader. Let me flip that around a little bit. This is the entry point, yes. So then all we need is the rail, which we can do something like this. And a chute, which is going to be over here. And we'll attach the rail to that. And basically then all the eggs that are going to be hovered up over here, as soon as we set this correct, are going to be dumped in here. Now we do want eggs to be only exported out of here once we have more than 8 of these hatchlings. So I'm gonna add in another automation thingy. Ooh, do I have it? Yes, I do have the critter sensor, and I think this is going to do what we need. So let's make sure it's connected up with an automation wire to this thing over here. We also need to power any of this stuff. Yep. That's to be expected, but I wasn't actually entirely sure what needed to power. The chute doesn't need power, so only these 2 items will. There we go. And now we're going to need to wait until we can actually build this. We also need to add someone to our colony at this point, I think, that can actually, you know, handle the grill. So that's something to keep in mind. Which also means we might need to expand a little bit further to build ourselves another bedroom. Alrighty, that's another tiny little bedroom prepared for the next 2 duplicants that will be joining the club. Now, this feels a little bit inefficient, so I actually also want to make a recreation room. And I'm wondering if that should not be over here. I mean, my mess hall doesn't need to be this large, does it? Let me double check. Well, we can make it a lot smaller, and if we make it smaller, we can kind of put it in between here, so you can go to the bathroom, go to the toilet, and maybe here go to the recreation room and then go back to sleep. Does that make sense? I mean, I guess it does. Is it a really big deal if I Let me think. So they go to the bathroom first, and they go chill, which would be in the recreation room if we put it over there. Then they go eat, as far as I know. Maybe the other way around, but yeah, it doesn't probably matter that much. So that means that, let me see, what do I have in terms of recreation? I think that is in the furniture, right? We need a water cooler, probably. That seems a very easy way. The jukebox would give us +2 morale, but wow, okay, that's going to cost me a massive amount of power. That feels like maybe not worth it. Do we have anything else that we can build? We have the juicer. That takes a bit more sensible amount of stuff. Oh, it also actually takes in meal ice. It also takes in some water. Not sure about this. Huh. But let's just test it out and we can always see what we do with that. Now, we're going to need to power this stuff, obviously. And can we? Let's see. Can we? Yeah, we can actually directly put the water in here. That's interesting. I guess more to the point, we need to put the water directly in there, I guess. Which means I'm gonna need a pump. Which is also going to cost me quite a bit of power. But on the bright side, I'm gonna put it not right under the drain. That's probably not a good idea. So let's put it over there. It's gonna take a little bit more piping to get it where it needs to go, but that's not really a problem. And let's just do it like that. This will pump the water straight into here. Does it need anything other than water? Yes, it does need bristleberry, meal ice, or mushrooms. I don't have either of those two things at the moment. But we are producing plenty of meal ice, I think. So that's just another way to make sure it doesn't spoil. Okay, so we have the juicer as well as the water thingy up and running, but apparently we also need to put in some decor. So I don't know. Let's do that. Now, what do we actually have? We have so many different decor items, and I'm not entirely sure which ones to pick. I mean, we could use some refined metal to put a metal block in here, but that seems a bit like overkill. We can put something on a pedestal, doubling its decor value. Okay, but what do we put on the pedestal? A flower pot? Does that work? I don't know. Let's try that out. It's going to be interesting to see that. So we are going to be putting in on a. Is that how that works? That's not gonna. Hold on. That's not gonna be working then. So this pedestal is apparently too high. So we need to put something relatively small on top of that. This is the weirdest pedestal I've ever seen. You can make paintings. Or a lamp. Or an ice block, apparently. We can put a sculpting block up here. What does this do? This is just a decor 4. 5, sorry. In the radius of 4. Well, it's a good way to test if this actually works. And we can also have a display shelf. It must be installed on the back wall. That's just a +5. Okay. And what does a hanging pot do? We need to plant something in there. I don't know if this is the thing we want to use, but let's just try it out. Now, this says it's an invalid building location, but that's maybe because the pedestal hasn't actually been made yet? No, that's not how that works. Oh, we need to put something on here. Ah, okay. So we can put an egg on here. Which I suppose is something we could do. What are our other options? This is so weird. But I think an egg actually does increase the decor. So if we do it like this, let's see if that works. The egg has been delivered. Okay, so let's see. This is giving me a 11 decor bonus, which is... Oh, look, it's a base value of 5. And because it's displayed, it's another plus 5. And because apparently we built the thing out of sandstone, I didn't realize that was a thing. It's another 10%. So if I build a pedestal out of something else... Hold on. Ah, okay, so if I build a pedestal out of... What is this? Granite, then... Ah, okay. So actually granite seems to be the optimal solution over here. Anyway, doesn't matter that much, but still, it's good to know. We have some bluff briar that we can put in the plant thingy over here. Now, what does this do? It needs a decent temperature. I think this should work fine, right? Alternatively, we can put in some more meat. We also have the jumping joya that I got from one of the deliveries just a moment ago. This grows in pretty much any temperature, which is nice. I don't know. Let's plant one of those because I just got them. Alrighty, we can also pick another duplicate. So we're going to make Ape a operator. And he already has an interest in operating itself, so that should make it a lot easier to actually level him up. There we go. Ape over here. We should probably retrain him so he loses this skill and we can put that skill into engineering already. He would be on the 2nd level engineering to begin with, and then we only need 1 more level in order for him to pick up the mechatronics engineering. At least that's I think how that works. We don't need both of these, right? Meanwhile, Liam, our digger. Yeah, you just proceed with that. Now, that means I am going to need a skill scrubber, which we can just build over here. For some reason, it makes complete sense in my mind that the skill scrubber is next to the portal. Not entirely sure why that is, but that's by far the most logical place to put it for some reason. While we're working on that, let's see. We have the recreation room up and running now. There we go. That's nice. How are we doing on the decor? Let me double check there. Well, it's one of these things, right? Hold on. There. Oh, look at how nice and green that is. 75. Most of that is coming from the jumping joya, I think. Yeah. Well, actually, it's a mix of stuff, so it's all nice. Now, let me look at the decor for a moment. So, my guys are spending a lot of time in here and here because they're eating. Like, everyone is passing through here and here. Well, and here, I guess. So, if we put in some more of those plants... I mean, we have plants, I think. Might as well use them. I haven't really focused on decor at all. There we go. More hanging plants because we can hang them above here, right? Something like that. You spread the love equally. And then something like that. Now it's misaligned with that one. I hate that. Hold on. It makes more sense. Actually, it makes more sense to do it the other way around. Hold on. Okay, there we go. And the reason I wanted to switch it around is now that should mean that these 2 beds are in reach of all 3 of those plants. Of course, I can also hang plants in between, but I don't think I have that many seeds. So let's just see where this gets us first. I really like that apparently in order to retrain someone, basically what you do is you put them in the machine and you shake them really, really hard until they forget everything they ever learned. Yeah, okay. Okay, so Abe just came out of the skill scrubber, but apparently... Ah, okay. I actually clicked him just as he came out, and he still had his original skill, but apparently he needed to kind of process what just happened to him. Anyway, yeah, we are going to make him an operator. That means he can now at least tune some generators and craft microchips. I'm not sure what we need that for, but the next time he learns a new skill, we can get him the mechatronics engineering, which is a little slower than I would have liked, but it is what it is. Then we can actually complete this build over here. Now, in the meanwhile, I did complete all of my decor over here, and I actually have a couple of plants left, exactly enough to decorate my my things over here in my eating area. So let me double check how we're doing on the decor. So this looks very nice and green. So does this. This all has like a positive value of around even 90 in some cases. There's some dirt on the floor we might want to pick up. But yeah, this is all on a 120, 100 plus decor. And they're going to be sleeping in here for a good while. Eating in here for a good while. And then maybe if we have some room, we can fit something in the bathroom? Not entirely sure if there's something we can put in here. Well, it seems that Steve was the first one to gain a new skill point, and I don't really need it to go anywhere else because he's our researcher, but he's already specialized enough in that, I think. So we're just going to make him our cook as well because we are running out of research to do anyway, because I'm researching way faster than I can expand my base. So that should take care of someone that at least is capable of handling the grill. Now, the real question is, do we need to make anything here? We can take some meal ice and turn it into other stuff. I'm actually wondering what the... We have a lot of muckroot still? So they're eating the meal ice, I suppose, because we're not making muckroot actively. But how do I get so... How did I get so much muckroot? That's weird. Anyway, well, I know it had some delivered. I just assumed that either it would go bad after a while or they would eat it. But anyway, I'm not complaining. Should I be pickling my meals, though? I mean, this makes it even worse, I think, right? Because meal ice itself, does that also give a -1 morale? Let me double check. Meal ice. It's just grizzly, but it doesn't actually reduce morale. Okay, then we don't want them to do that. I do want you to barbecue if you have any meat available. So I'm just going to set this to infinite making barbecue. I don't have any of these other things. And if we get some dying hatches at some point, at least we'll get some meat and we can take it from there. And in the meanwhile, I think I'll just pick up Ashken and make him a generalist as well. I don't know yet what I want you to do, but that's number 10, and that at least gives me someone who can start training and gain some skills while we figure out what we actually want to use those skills for. In the meanwhile, you might also have noticed that I am slowly starting to fill up my level of storage over here. Mostly because it seems like my duplicants don't have too much to do a lot of the time. So they're just going to start cleaning up the base. And I mean, that's a pretty nice thing to do, actually. I really like how my base is starting to look. And speaking of decor and how things look at this. I think my duplicants are starting to get pretty happy about all of their decor. Oh, look at this. By the way, I just asked, is there anything I can put on the ceiling? And the answer is yes, ceiling trim. Now, honestly, this is not super effective, I have to admit. But it does do something. And especially here in the bathroom, it's doing more than nothing. Let's put it like that. So you can see this area over here is around 50-ish. The bathroom itself is even the plus now, so at least it's contributing a little bit to keeping the decor level on average up and running. And yeah, that actually seems to be working just fine. Look at Steve over here, he has an average decor of 98. Frankie over here actually has a 142. That's a lot. Camille is on 6. I guess she hasn't been in her bed just yet. She also went down here, so she might have been in a very negative room. But yeah, look at this. Otto is at 95. Liam is at 105 as well. So, I don't know. The decor is definitely doing something. But, yeah, my stress levels are like 0 anyway. So, it's not a massive improvement. But it's still nice to see that we made some progress in that regard as well. Okay, I really want to get that mechatronics engineering up and running, so I just realized I can just spec Ashcan over here into grilling. We only need a level 1 grilling in order to make use of most of the stuff we have. We do need level 2 for the spice grinder, but that's not really a high priority. In the meanwhile, that means that considering I have Steve over here who is specialized in research, but we only really need at the moment the first degree of research over here. If I respec him, and I just put 3 points in the mechatronics engineering, that would bring him up to the level we need it to be, and we have 5 skill points in total, so we can actually still get level 2 field research as well, and then the grilling is replaced by Ashcan. So we're not really losing out on anything altogether. And at some point I do want to spec him into applied sciences, but that's not a high priority for the moment. Yikes, it turns out I do need both of these lines in order to pick up the mechatronics engineering, so that is 5 skill points going in here. So that means I can't actually pick up field research on my researcher after all. So now I am starting to wonder if I should have done that completely differently. We have our digger over here that also has 5 skill points. I could easily pick this up. But we do need the digging as well. Huh. That is interesting. So that means I think I'm gonna respec Ape again and put him on research so we can continue our research. Which means that Steve is now our operator, and Ape is no longer our operator, but will be our researcher. But hey, that means that Steve is now the one who is going to actually put our automation in place, so that's gonna be awesome. And there we go, all of this has now been constructed. Now, let's see, the auto sweeper is going to auto sweep whatever I tell it to. Now, I am going to activate it if there is more than 8. So let me just double check it, because these guys should still be happy, and there is currently 7 of them. If there's 8 of them, I think they should still be happy, but once another egg hatches, that will be a problem. Now, we do actually have a sage hatch egg in here already, so that's nice. Once this activates, I want this to... hold on. I don't think I did this correctly. Automation wire. Yeah, we need that to automate as well. So as long as this is red, nothing of that, nothing here should work. But once it does work, what I wanted to do is to... let's filter for eggs. Then I want you to pick up the hatch eggs. Now, I'm not going to activate it just now. Oh, we can actually test it. If I do mark this, is this going to already suck it up? No? Why not? I was fully expecting it to. Oh, that's because it actually turned off the auto sweeper. So we don't actually need to connect this up. This will work just fine as it is. Which is good to know, because then I can just cancel that. And that should take care of that. Now, once we have more than 8 in here, it's going to suck up all the eggs, or at least enough eggs until we get below the number of 9 again. And drop the eggs in here so we can keep track of how many we have. And hey, look, I have another colony achievement earned. I wonder which one that is. Oh, look, we hatched a new critter more from an egg. So that means we have the... I don't know. What do we have? Is any of you something new? I don't think so. Was it just in general hatching an egg? Was that the first time we've done that? No, right? We had more than those. I actually wonder, is this hatch egg still hatching? Oh man, that name. No, the growth is suppressed. Okay, well, that's good to know. Anyway, yeah, I'm pretty happy with the progress so far. So let's recap. I think I fixed the germ situation mostly. Whenever the light bulbs over here, the shine bugs fly in the wrong direction, there is some germs popping up, but it's honestly not that much. I also cleaned up most of my base, and we put down some ranching along with some additional food production. We have a tiny little kitchen now. Actually, let me see. Does it count as a kitchen? Yep, it does. And we also put in place the recreation room, and we have a much better decor overall, thanks to all of my little roof tilings, as well as my plants that I gathered along the way. So yeah, all in all, pretty happy about this result. Now the real question is where to take this next, and by all means, let me know in the comments, because at this point, I am in uncharted territory, literally. You might want to pick up some of these other bugs that are flying around, or walking around, I should say. I'm a little bit scared to dig into the heated areas, mostly because I have been reading a little bit online. I try not to spoil myself too much, but something that is always coming up is people saying, well, you should be really careful about heat in your base. And there's plenty of that to go around. I'm not sure if it's a problem, honestly. I mean, this isn't looking pretty hot, but other than that, it's not too much of a problem. We can at least expand a little bit up. I also think that this area over here, as well as I think there was another area somewhere. Where is it? Where is it? Oh, here. I think these are geysers of some sort that are going to give me sulfur or water. I think this was a sulfur one over here that I remember from last time. Not entirely sure what we need to do with that. But honestly, I have unlocked a whole bunch of technologies now that I have no idea what we're going to be using them for. So I think for the next episode, I'm just going to go through that, look at something, see if it's interesting at all, and then we are probably just going to build towards that and hopefully not fail too much in the process, because that would be a disaster. Anyway, if you're still here, you are awesome, and I do hope to catch you in the next one.